Welcome back, everyone. Sheepdog Smokey here, and it's more of the same. Now we have Representative Ocasio-Cortez defending someone who calls what's happening at the border intentional, as if Trump is personally causing it. You see, very recently we had a report that a child had died at the U.S. border while the adults who had dragged that child through hellish conditions were detained. I've said this in tweets before, and I'll say it again. Our medical personnel at the border or anywhere else in the country are not wizards. Of course, magic does not exist. The word asylum does not exempt you from United States immigration law, and our medical personnel cannot just go with a wand and cure someone of any disease at all. And this is what the Democrats are basically saying should be happening. Because, of course, very recently with this child's death, it was instantly politicized. Just like with Parkland, Sandy Hook, and the STEM shooting, politics reigns over compassion. But let's just take a look at the reality of the situation. You see, the people now basically beating on the doors saying, "You will let me in or I'll make you let me in," are not Mexican citizens. They are Honduran or Guatemalan, meaning they have marched thousands of miles, most of it through desert, very harsh conditions. They are dragging children with them with the intent of saying, "Look, I have a child. You can't be really mean and keep a child in these horrid conditions that I put them in." And the children get sick. And sadly, some of them have died. And what that means is that they arrive at our border so sick they cannot be helped. Every one of their deaths is a tragedy. But it is no one's responsibility but the adults who chose to drag them on foot through the entirety of Mexico. Let's just imagine a different scenario, one that's not quite as bad. Let's say that Texas was its own country and conditions were not the best, and someone decided they were going to go north and demand entry into the U.S. at the Oklahoma border at the Red River. So these people pack up everything they own at Brownsville or McAllen. Basically, they've got this very southern border of Texas. Now, I will tell you, I can drive from the Red River in the Panhandle to the very tip of the southern border in about, I believe, 16 hours. But that's mostly at highway speed. I know it is less than a one-day drive. I can make it from where I live to the northern border in about 4 hours, and I can make it from where I live to the southern border in 12 to 13, if I drive straight through with only restroom breaks. So let's just say it's a 16-hour drive at 60 miles an hour. Well, that would be almost 1,000 miles. Let's just round it to an even 1,000 miles. Now, knowing that you are marching toward another country, knowing that you don't want to be stopped, you don't want to be walking on highways or the like, so you take surface streets and you walk through wilderness and wooded areas. Naturally, you're going to have poison ivy, poison oak, bugs, snakes, other things. So by the time you arrive at the Red River and you manage to get to the other side of whatever bridge you choose, you decide to stop right there because Oklahomans have said, "No, I'm sorry, this is the border into the U.S. You have to wait. We have to process you. Your child is horribly, horribly sick." Whose fault is it? The person who didn't know you were coming, at least didn't know you personally were coming, who didn't know your child was sick until they got there, so who does not have the medical personnel trained in pediatric medicine and likely infectious disease or worse. So because they weren't ready for someone they didn't know was coming, is it their fault? No. Now, yes, our Border Patrol people know that we have thousands of people marching toward our border. We have no way of knowing how many children are being dragged, against their will or not, through the horrific conditions of the Mexican desert. We have no way of knowing what diseases they had upon leaving, what diseases they contract while marching through hell, what poisonous animals or plants they've come in contact with. So we have no way of being ready to treat anything and everything that they bring with them. But that is exactly what Democrats like Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or Representative Lauren Underwood are demanding we do. Now, AOC, I almost forgive because she is just ignorant of almost anything and everything. She lived a life of luxury and privilege growing up. She got into a college that I would contest she did not have the grades to get into. She managed to be handed a degree that I would contest she did not rightfully earn, and then bartended for a couple of years until she managed to get into a seat that no Republican would run for because Democrats always win it. I don't really know much about Lauren Underwood. I've not heard her name until now, so I will have to look into her. But she is actively making the statement that because our people are not wizards who knew exactly what medication to have and exactly when and where to administer it, and did not, in some eventualities, cross into Mexico to seek this child out so that they could be treated in time, it's their fault. And I would contend with Representative Underwood that that is a monstrously ignorant statement to make. If someone shows up on your doorstep, Representative Underwood, screaming, "My child is sick, my child is sick," and while you're waiting for the ambulance you called to arrive, the child dies, is that your fault? No. Is it the ambulance's fault? No. It's the hospital's fault? No. It's the parent's fault for dragging them to someone's home and demanding entry instead of either keeping the child home or calling for aid themselves. You see, Mexico has offered work visas. Mexico has hospitals, fire departments, police departments, presumably ambulances. If this child had gotten sick on the way, why then did they not go to a hospital? Because they chose to use that child as leverage to break our laws. And that adult who dragged the child through Mexico is at fault, no one else. What Democrats like AOC or Representative Underwood seem to actively ignore is that just 13 years ago, then Senator Joe Biden said that no, you don't get to come in when you want. If you come in without asking, we make you leave. You must become a citizen. You must learn English. You must assimilate. This is just 13 years ago in 2006 under President George W. Bush, when Biden was very much pro legal immigration only. In fact, many Democrats were. They were all for talking about making sure that we only had legal immigration, merit-based, where they would learn English and become a citizen, become a productive member of society by assimilating. They always talked about building the wall, but nothing ever happened. Until 2017, in January, when a president who had campaigned on those very things actually put his money where his mouth is and started trying to make it happen. And because of that, now he is to blame for the actions of adults who break Mexican law, possibly Guatemalan law, and definitely US law. He is to blame for the actions of adults who endanger the lives of children, not the adults who did it. This is the core of democratic thought. Everything is your fault, nothing is their fault, nothing is the fault of anyone they don't say it is. And that needs to stop. Having looked at the video, which is linked, is in this post and is linked, will be linked, I would say Representative Underwood looks to be within a couple of years of Representative Ocasio-Cortez. So to both of them, I would say dig out your old high school civics and economics textbooks. Civics for both of them, economics for AOC. Find the section that says criminals are innocent of all crimes because those who arrest them for the crimes are guilty. I dare you. I will make the same offer I've made to a lot of people. I will happily send them both a copy of the United States Constitution, free of charge. I'll pay for it. I'm willing to bet both of them will ignore that. Might even call me racist for suggesting that someone who swears to uphold and defend the Constitution should read it. But I've talked about this long enough. Let me know what you think. As always, keep it civil. We do not have any anything to learn from an argument, only from debate. Please also remember to like and share this video, as well as to comment below and to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you're among the first to know of all new content as it is posted. Until next time, everyone have a wonderful day.